Our story begins right back when we were first married. David was working with Special Coatings and ended up getting quite sick and ended up in hospital a few times. From there he was diagnosed with a slow progressing kidney disease. But as you do, you go through life and nothing really happened until about 5 years ago. And that's when we first found out that his kidneys had deteriorated greatly in function.
I had an appointment in November with my specialist. He said the kidney function was down to 16%, so I was a bit shocked. He actually talked about kidney transplant, and that was the first time anyone had said anything about a transplant. I'd always thought I was just going to go on dialysis and be on that for the rest of my life. Suddenly I had all these offers from people in the church, just saying, I'll donate a kidney. So I was sort of like multiple choice which one to take. But realistically, my brother was more realistic, so we went through a process for the next couple of years, and in the end we were both fairly incompatible. Then Joyce said that she'd get tested, and that was another long process. Joy and I were compatible, so we went away from there.
After David had been tested, his kidney function dropped to 3%, which was very low, and when he started dialysis he actually walked into the dialysis unit, and the coordinator of the dialysis unit met us, and she said she really couldn't believe that David had walked into the dialysis unit on his own accord. So it was a real testimony to God that even though physically there were signs there that he should have been almost bedridden or in a wheelchair, he was actually one of the healthiest looking people there, even though his function was low. 2 weeks before we were due to go in for surgery, Laura had found David wandering around the house in the middle of the night and his heart was racing. We had to call the ambulance. We thought, it's only 2 weeks to go, and hopefully we didn't want the surgery date to be pushed back. It was just a miracle that morning that the head of the renal unit had popped into the hospital. It was a Sunday, and David ended up with all of these specialists in his room, and with having the head of the renal unit there, he just made sure that everything was in place for David to have surgery on his heart before we had the kidney transplant 2 weeks later. So you could just see God's hand work, and knowing that people were praying too was such a comfort.
I was sort of thinking, God's going to heal me, I'm going to have a miracle. I had to learn that God doesn't always bring that miraculous thing to you. Sometimes it's just healing through doctors and medicine, and that's still a miracle to me.
David had to be in at the hospital at 7:30 every morning after the surgery, so we had to rely on people for transport. So the church helped there.
We actually had more offers than we could actually accept. I could have had 10 people take me each day.
It was just lovely to know that people were there helping practically, but also I think the prayer support was amazing. That's really a comfort to know that the church is praying for you and your family's praying for you. I think it's been a lesson for me to know that God has got everything under control, and I don't have to stress or worry about that or have any anxiety about it. I can hand it to Him.
We talk about God's goodness all the time, and sometimes it becomes a cliche, but I think Joy and I have both seen how really good God is. It doesn't matter how physically handicapped you are, how well you are, how strong you are. It's what's actually inside you. You've got to have a hope, and that's what drives us.